When top tennis player Novak Djokovic was freed from immigration detention in Australia, he left behind more than 30 asylum seekers who've been detained in the facility for as long as 2 years. One of them is Anand Chupani, who fled from Iran. He was first taken to an offshore detention centre 9 years ago.
I come from a place called Ahvaz. It's the south of Iran. We've been occupied by Iranian authorities. So I seek asylum. Me and my cousin, when we were 15, we've been held in a Christmas Island and after that to offshore processing center, which is Nauru.
For decades, Australia has had a mandatory detention policy for anyone arriving without a visa. It's set up offshore detention centres in Nauru and Papua New Guinea's Manus Island to deter people from arriving by boat. Every year it costs Australia $2.5 million to detain a single asylum seeker in an offshore facility. In 2019, those critically ill were evacuated for medical treatment. They were then moved to this hotel, which became a makeshift detention facility. Some have complained about conditions, including finding maggots and mould in their food.
To be honest, the condition day by day is getting worse. We've been kept in a limbo and in a different detention. For example, the food, it's terrible. It's such a low quality. We also been served with muggle and mold in our breaths.
An Australian Border Force spokesperson told Reuters they strongly refute any suggestion of mouldy bread being provided. They added that detainees have access to dedicated indoor and outdoor exercise areas. But human rights groups say their conditions have been inhumane and costly.
So these men came to Australia to receive medical treatment, and we and other groups have called for them to be released into the community. But the government won't do that. What they do is use the conditions of detention as a deterrence. So it's almost like they're saying, we want to make an example of these people. We want to make it so bad for them that the rest of the world will see what happens if you try to come to Australia by boat without a visa. And that's unacceptable, and it's actually illegal.
The Australian government has stood firm on its policy. They have vowed that persons who travel to Australia illegally by boat will never permanently settle on Australian soil.